Morning students. Today we are going to discuss a term work that is based on exception handling. We know that exception handling is a very important feature that is provided in Java, wherein there are two types of exceptions. We have already discussed about these exceptions. We can even have user defined exceptions, that is as per our requirement. For example, suppose we are creating a class that deals with customer of a bank. Okay, so let's consider an example wherein we are creating a class account and we will have the related data members like balance and also the methods that are going to operate on this data member, maybe deposit and withdraw methods. Because when we talk about banking system, the transactions, we have to have two things, that is depositing and withdrawing. These are the basic functionalities, correct? So let's consider this example and then we will proceed with the exceptions. Okay, first let's start with a class account. So what can be the important data member over here? See, every customer will have the customer ID. So in this case, who is the customer? Account holder, right? So every account holder will have a unique account number. So that is one data member required, and the name of the account holder and also the balance of that particular account holder. So these are the basic data members that are required. But here I will be considering only balance. Let me declare this as double type, double balance. So you can modify this program wherein you are going to include all other data members that are suitable for an account holder. Correct. And if you have gone to bank anytime, you know that if you have created any account in the bank, there are some banks which tell that you have to have minimum 500 rupees balance in your account, or 1000 or 2000 as the minimum balance that needs to be maintained, isn't it? So let's consider that in this bank, the account holder has to keep 500 rupees as the minimum balance. That means at any point of time, it should not go less than below 500 rupees. The moment the user creates an account, the moment a person becomes an account holder in a bank, it is mandatory that he should have minimum 500 balance that is maintained in his account. So let us consider this as a constraint. So the moment he creates an account, his balance should be equals to 500 rupees. Correct. So how to do that? How to implement that thing over here? So whenever an instance of this account is created, that means whenever a person becomes an account holder, immediately his balance should be assigned with 500 rupees. That is the constraint, right? So for that sake, I will take a constructor. So we know that constructor is a special function which will have the same name as that of the class, correct? And then constructors are executed automatically the moment any instance of the class is created, correct? That is the reason I am writing this balance equals to 500, this particular statement over here. What is the reason for writing this balance equals to 500 rupees in the constructor? The moment or any object of this class is created, that account holder's balance should be assigned with 500 rupees. That is the requirement. Right? Constructors will be called automatically, whereas methods have to be called explicitly using the object and the dot operator. Though this is a method, this is a special type of method, we call it as a constructor. We need not call this explicitly. This will be called automatically whenever an instance of a class is created. I hope you remember this. Now, which are the other methods that we require here? The account holder is interested in either depositing the money or withdrawing money. These two are basic functionalities. Agree? Correct. Now, let's create a method, call it as deposit. So, this is to deposit an amount. So, whatever amount the user wants to deposit, either you can take that amount as input here inside in the deposit method, or you can get it passed from the main function. Anything. Okay. So, let me pass this as a parameter. You can have a variation for this. And what should be the return type here? Nothing. We are not returning anything back, isn't it? We are depositing something. Nothing to be returned back. So, I am taking this, the return type as void. And now, whenever a person deposits money, what should happen? It should be, that amount should be added to his previous balance. Correct? Whatever is the previous balance, this deposited amount should be added to it. So, where is the balance present? It is there in the balance variable data members, right? So, balance equals to balance plus amount. So, whatever the amount that he wants to deposit should be added to the previous balance, and this becomes the new balance. Fine. And what else? What else? Withdraw, right? So, we should write a withdraw method here. Withdraw method. Again, what is the amount that he wants to withdraw? That can be passed as a parameter here, or else it can be accepted from the user inside this withdraw method itself. Correct? But here I am taking the amount as a parameter, and you can return the balance, or you can take one more method like display balance. So, whenever the user just wants to see what is the current balance of his or her account, they can just call the display method. Correct? So, you can either do that way, or whenever he withdraws money, the current balance of his account should be displayed. That also can be done. So, there can be many variations to this. So, you can just write a void if you do not want to return anything back. Now, when we want to withdraw, whatever is the balance that is available minus the amount that he wants to withdraw should happen, right? So, that is the current balance is present in balance variable, right? So, this should be equals to balance minus the amount that he wants to withdraw. This should be updated. Correct? So, that's it. We can even have our display method, void display, and just display the balance amount. So, we can use system dot out dot println, and print the balance. Correct? So this is one method, this is another, and here we have the deposit method, and this is our constructor. Now we need to close this class. Correct? So this is the opening of class and this is the close of the class. So is this fine? Hold on. What we did here is we are writing balance equals to balance minus amount. See how this works is, let me write the main program here, main function here. So meanwhile, I will just remove this. I hope these functions are clear to you. And I will keep only this withdraw method because we have to discuss something. Now, we have written one account class. So let's create the main method. See, you can have that main method inside the account class itself. It is not necessary that you should have another class in which you are writing the main function. That is not mandatory. If you wish, you can write the main function inside the account class itself. But here I am taking a separate class in which I am writing the main function. Okay, so any variations can be done. It is not mandatory. Please note this. It is not necessary that you should have your main function somewhere else. It is not mandatory. You can have the main function within the class itself. So only before closing this class, you can write public static void main string arguments and all. Then you can write your main method. And finally, you can close this class. That can be done. But here I am writing the main function in a separate class. So let me call this as bank example class, in which I am going to have the main function because execution of our program starts from the main function. Though I have written the class account, it cannot, the control directly will not go to the account class whenever we want to execute that. We should have a main method and the control starts executing the statements from the main function. So it is always necessary to have a main function. So now I will write the main function. So you all know that it begins with public static void main string arguments, all that. So I am not writing all that. So what is required here? We have to create the account classes object. That means we have to instantiate the account class. Consider that we want to create two instances. That means two account holders, two customers. So how to do that? We have to create object of account class, then only we will have two account holders, right? So to create an object, we should use the class name. The class name is account. Name of the object, you can take it as A1. So A1 is going to be our first account holder, first customer. Account A1 equals to new account. So what we have done? We have created one account holder. See, the moment the control goes to this particular statement, we have created an instance of account class. That means immediately it will check whether the account class has any constructor. So we have written a constructor, isn't it? So what is the code that we have written in the constructor? In the constructor, we have written a statement. I just erased that. If you remember that, I had written a statement, balance equals to 500. That statement will be executed. That means when we do this, we have this A1 account holder getting created, and this balance of this A1 customer will be assigned with value 500. See, this will happen automatically because we have a constructor written, and whenever we create an object, the constructor will be executed for this particular object, and A1's balance is assigned to 500. Similarly, let me create one more account holder. Let's call this as A2. Okay, account A2 equals to new account. Okay, so after doing this, we got this. Next, the control goes to this particular statement. That means we have got another account holder, that is the object, wherein again balance is assigned to 500, isn't it? Because whenever we create an object of this class, a constructor will be called. If at all we have written one, here we have written a constructor, that constructor will be executed for A2 object also. So what is there in the constructor? We have assigned 500 to balance variable. So balance of A2 object also has become 500 now. Correct. Now A1 customer, that is customer, that A1 object wants to deposit some amount. So how he can do that? We have a deposit functionality that is provided, right? So through that interface, that account holder A1 can deposit the amount. So let's say A1 wants to deposit, that means we need to call the deposit function, correct? So deposit function will be called with respect to A1. So this deposit function is present in the account class, correct? So we cannot just call this as deposit. It is not an independent function. It is a function that belongs to a class account. So the methods or the functions which are part of a class can be called only with the help of the objects of those class, of that class. So the object of account class is A1. Use the dot operator, call the function. But that deposit function takes one parameter. I hope you remember I had written deposit in the bracket some amount, isn't it? That means it accepts one parameter. So how to pass that? Let's say he wants to deposit 1000 rupees. When the control goes to this particular statement, A1 wants to deposit 1000 rupees. So what are the statements that we had written in the deposit method? Balance should be upgraded there, because whatever is the previous balance, that should be added with the amount that the account holder wants to deposit, right? So what is the amount, that is the what is the current balance? 500. So this 500 plus this 1000, so the balance will become 1500 for A1 object, correct? So you can display that. What is the balance? A1 dot display. So we have a method called as display, which can display the balance of that particular account holder. So please remember, these methods will be common, right? Only when we call them with respect to the object, these methods will work on those particular objects. For example, here when I write A1 dot display, it is going to display the balance of A1. What is the balance of A1? 1500. So this will be displayed on the screen. When you call A1 dot display, it will not display A2's balance. It will not happen. Okay, so the object with which we are calling the method, that object's data members will be affected. Getting? So similarly, if you want to display the balance of A2 account holder, A2 dot display. So what will be printed now? It will go to A2. A2's balance is 500. Correct? The minimum balance whatever he has maintained is 500. He has not deposited anything. So have we written any statements to deposit for A2? No. That means A2's balance is 500. That will be displayed. Now let's consider that A1 wants to withdraw some amount. Withdraw, let's say 800 rupees. A1 wants to withdraw 800 rupees. Right? So in the withdraw method, so what will happen? This 800 will go and set balance equals to balance minus amount. So what is the balance of A1? A1's balance is 1500. So this 1500 minus the amount. What is the amount? 800. So this is 800. That means 700. So this will become 700. Correct? So the new balance is going to be 700. See, whenever you deposit or withdraw something, that will be updated because we have written such statements within the methods. Correct? Now, if you display A1 dot, if you call this display method, what will be printed now? 700 because that is updated after withdrawing. Now let's consider A1 again wants to withdraw. A1 dot withdraw, and this time he wants to withdraw 500 rupees. 500 rupees. Right? So what will happen? Again withdraw method will be called. This 500 will be copied into this amount. So what is the balance here? 700 minus what is the amount that he wants to withdraw? This time it is 500. So what is the remaining balance? 200. That means this has become 200 now. Correct? Logically, if you see, there is no error in this. But there is a constraint that is put. In the beginning only I mentioned that in this bank, the minimum balance to be maintained is 500 rupees. Isn't it? So that is violating this withdraw method is violating that policy, isn't it? So it is allowing the customer to withdraw the amount. Isn't it? Suppose even if he wants to withdraw 1500, what will happen? You have not written any code which will take care of that. What will happen here? The remaining balance is 700 minus 1500, so it will come in negative. So is it practically possible? No, isn't it? So we have not taken care of these situations in the withdraw method. What are the two things that we should take care of? One is, as per the policy of this bank, minimum balance to be maintained by the customer is, by the account holder is 500 rupees. It cannot go below that, right? So if a customer wants to withdraw the money, let's say 1500, and if it is going below 500, it shouldn't allow the account holder to withdraw. It should give some error message, and it shouldn't allow him to go below that, isn't it? So how to take care of that? You can modify this code. You can just write see after doing this, you can take a temporary variable over here just to check whether it goes below 500 rupees. You can take one temporary variable, let's say double temp equals to balance minus amount, and then you can check if temp is less than 500. That means after deducting the amount, if the balance becomes less than 500, then give a message system.out.println, give some message saying that it is not possible. It is not allowed to withdraw so much of money, and don't deduct that amount. Otherwise, if this temporary variable's value is equals to 500, or if it is greater than 500, even after deducting the amount from the balance, then you can just write balance equals to balance minus amount. So there is no problem here, right? So this should be in the else part. Either you can do this, or the better way is you can create your own exception, that is customized exception. Whenever there is a situation wherein the balance goes less than 500, it should throw some exception. See, there is no such exception that is available. There is no built-in exception that will show that insufficient balance or less balance exception, something like that. It is not available. You have to do it. Okay, so this is a customized exception, or we can call it as a user-defined exception that is suitable for this particular scenario. Okay, so there are two types of exceptions we can have. One type is system generated exceptions. For example, you want to divide a number by 0. An exception is thrown. Who has written? Whether I have written that exception? That arithmetic exception? No. It is already present, built in. So that is a system generated exception, isn't it? And similarly, we have other exceptions like array index out of bounds exception and so on. Correct? So those are all system generated exceptions, and they will be thrown whenever such scenario or such situation occurs. Right? But this insufficient balance exception is not there. It is not available. This is as per my requirement. As per the banking policy, the bank wants to throw such exception whenever such things happen. So this is the scenario when we require customized exceptions created by the user as per the need. So this is a user defined exception. Right? So one way to handle that is writing this type of code, but a better way is you can write an exception, and whenever such scenario occurs, you can just throw that exception. Correct? So we are going to deal with creating user defined exceptions. I want to write an exception that is, let's call it as less balance exception. Okay, so that less balance exception should be thrown here. That means whenever, if this temporary variable's value is less than 500, instead of printing this message, what should happen? It should throw an exception. So throw how to throw the exception? Using the throw keyword, throw new less balance exception. Less balance exception. Okay, so this less balance exception, we have to create first. I am assuming that I have already created less balance exception. Then how this withdraw method can throw that exception I have written. Okay, so if after deducting the withdraw amount, if the temporary variable's value is less than 500, then this should throw the less balance exception. And whoever calls this withdraw method, so who is calling the withdraw method here? This is called by the main method in the class, right? In the class bank example. So here, see this withdraw method I have written it in the account class. So what this withdraw method can tell the caller is, I am going to throw an exception if such scenario occurs. So it is your responsibility to handle this. Okay, so withdraw method has the flexibility to tell that at the runtime this type of exception might be thrown by me. So it is your responsibility to take care of this exception. So how it will tell this? It will write this as throws less balance exception, less balance exception. See, look at these keywords. Throws, that means withdraw function might throw an exception called as less balance exception if this scenario occurs, right? And by throwing this exception, it tells the caller of this method. Who is the caller? See, these are the function calls, right? Withdraw method function call, withdraw function call, display function call, again withdraw function call, deposit call. So these are all the function calls. This is a definition, right? So definition, in case of method definitions, we have written the statements. Only whenever they are called, those statements will be executed. Just writing a function or just writing a method will not be executed. It will not execute the statements which are enclosed there unless somebody calls those methods, right? So if I have written this method, this itself will not be executed automatically. When this will be executed? It will be executed only when there is a function call. So how we are calling it? Using the object and the dot operator we are calling, right? So whenever this is called, this method says that at runtime it might throw an exception if this scenario occurs. So how it tells that? It throws less balance exception. And if this happens, it will definitely throw this exception, right? So you take care of this type of exception. That is how it is intimating the caller. So caller should take care of that. So how the caller will take care of that? It has to place this within the try catch block. So whenever there is a withdraw method call, it has to be enclosed within the try block and a proper catch block has to be written for that. You remember, try block will have the code that we are monitoring for runtime exceptions, isn't it? So we have discussed about this. What is the use of try and catch blocks, right? So if you consider the divide by zero exception only, if there is a statement, let's say D equals to A divided by B. If the value of A and B are something like this, no problem. 1 divided by 2, it will have some value. What if B's value is 0? 1 divided by 0. This is undefined, right? So that we don't know, like what will be the value of B. Based on the value of B, it might throw an exception when this program is executed. So that is known later, right? If that scenario occurs wherein the value of B is equals to 0, then it will throw some exception. That should be taken care by our program by enclosing this D equals to A divided by in the try block. Did we not do this? Because here we are expecting some error. If the value of B is going to be 0, arithmetic exception will be thrown by the system. So, caller, here we have to take care of that exception. So, to take care of that exception means we have to write it within the try block, and a suitable catch block should be written so that if this scenario happens wherein B's value is equals to 0, then we need to catch that exception using this catch block with arithmetic exception, isn't it? This is what we did, right? So in the same manner, we have to write this withdraw method call within try block, because the caller has to take care of those that less balance exception. So within the try block, we have to write A1 dot withdraw. See, whenever there is a withdraw method call, whether it is going to create this throws exception or no, you should always place it within the try block, and a proper catch statement has to be written. Right? So within try block we place this withdraw method call, and what will be the catch block? Catch which exception we are going to catch. Is less balance exception. It is going to throw less balance exception, because withdraw method has announced that it throws less balance exception if the amount is going to be less than 500. It throws a less balance exception. So that should be handled over here with the less balance exception. Less balance exception E. You can give any variable name over here, and here you can print. I am just writing it as SOP, that is system.out.println, wherein you can write exception caught, and you can print this E, or you can write any suitable message, insufficient balance, or maybe the minimum balance has to be maintained is 500, something like that, exception, and you can print that. So whenever there is a withdraw method call, always you should place that within the try block, because the withdraw method definition has announced that it can throw an exception, that is less balance exception. Okay, so this is another way of handling that. Now, this less balance exception I have not yet written, isn't it? It is a user defined exception. As per our requirement, we are going to write this less balance exception. Assuming that I have created less balance exception, I have written all this code. Now how to create that exception now? Okay, so to create that, see, always when we want to create an exception, it has to be subclass of throwable or exception class. Correct? So for that, let me create, what is the name of the class? Less balance exception. This is less balance exception, and I'm going to make this less balance exception class as subclass of exception. So how to make that? How to inherit from the exception class? We have to use the extends keyword. Less balance exception class extends what? Exception class. That means, see, this exception class is built-in class which is already available. Here we are creating our own exception. To do this, this has to be subclass of exception. So I am writing this extends keyword. So what has happened now? Exception is the class. This is becoming a superclass of less balance exception class. Hope this is clear. Now, what should we write here? See, whenever such exception occurs, what should be done? To do that automatically, whenever that exception is thrown, something should happen automatically, right? So, to get something done automatically, we have to have the constructor, because whenever an object of less balance exception is created, it should execute the statements automatically. That means we have to write a constructor so that these statements will be executed automatically. I think you remember that in the withdraw method I had written, if temp variable is less than 500, throw new less balance exception. That means we have created an instance of less balance exception. The moment the control goes to that particular statement, it will execute the constructor which is there in the less balance exception. So the constructor is less balance exception, in which we are going to write some statement over here. Less balance exception, and here you can print something. SOP is system.out.println. I have written it in shortcut, but when you are writing, you write that statement completely. Here you can print something like insufficient balance or whatever you feel is suitable. Insufficient balance, something like this. Okay, so this is the customized exception, user defined exception. This will be called. See, if you want something to be printed, you can pass a string and you can write a parameter of string type and you can even print that message. So that also is possible. You can have a lot of variations in this. Hope this is clear. So this is how we can create our own exceptions to handle such situations. So let's see how this works, or how we can implement this using Eclipse IDE. So here we have a class account term work. Okay, account less balance exception, account example, fine. So this is our account class. You can see that in my account class I have taken one data member, and as I mentioned earlier, you can take other data members like account number, name of the account holder, and all other details. But here I have taken only one data member, that is balance, and we have written a constructor wherein we are initializing the data member balance to 500 rupees, and then we have two methods, deposit and withdraw. In case of deposit, we are just adding the deposited amount with the current balance, and updated will be stored in the balance variable itself, so that we did using balance equals to balance plus amount. Coming to withdraw method, so as I explained, withdraw method announces that it throws less balance exception. So there is a possibility that if that amount goes less than 500, it will throw an exception. What type of exception it is going to throw? Less balance exception, right? So it tells the caller of this withdraw method that you need to take care if this happens. That means whenever there is a withdraw method call, that should be placed within try catch block. So that is how the withdraw method has intimated. It says it throws less balance exception, and temporarily we have stored balance, that balance minus amount in a temporary variable, and we check that if it is less than 500, it creates an object of less balance exception. You can observe that here I am passing a string. So if a string is passed, here it should accept that string in the parameters here, correct? And now after this, so there is a else block also. If this goes less than 500, then only it throws an exception. Otherwise, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen in the sense, no exception will be thrown. Instead, the balance variable will be updated with balance minus whatever is the amount that he wants to withdraw will be updated. In this case, we are writing it as balance equals to temp, because already here we have stored that balance minus amount is stored in temp. That means balance will be updated accordingly. And here we have taken the return type. I have not written any display method. So whenever the account holder withdraws some amount, that will be displayed. You can even have a display method as we discussed earlier. And you can write a void over here if it is not returning. So you can have a lot of variations. So if you are writing void, you are not returning anything. If you are returning something, you have to return the value of that particular type, right? So if you do not want to return, you can write one more display function wherein it is going to display the current balance of that particular account holder. So this is our account class. Then coming to this less balance exception, because we have to create this exception, this is a user defined exception customized as per our requirement, and you can see that less balance exception extends exception. That means all our exceptions should be subclasses of exception or throwable. So I am making it as subclass of exception, and we have written a constructor less balance exception, and it receives a parameter. I hope you remember here when at this account class, when we called, when it throws less balance exception, it is passing one parameter. So where this will go? This will go to this constructor, that is string str, right? So that goes over here. So either you can do this, or you need not write anything over here. If it is not receiving any parameter, when that exceptions object is created, nothing should be passed. So you can have variations, and now it prints cannot withdraw, and it prints whatever string that is passed there. And here we have the main function. As I mentioned earlier, you need not create one more class to write the main method, but here I have taken another class called as account example, and I have created a main method. So it is your wish. If you want this main function to be part of the account class itself, you can do that. So what we have written here in the main function is we have created two accounts. Two account holders are A1 and A2, right? And then we have called the deposit methods. A1 wants to deposit 1000 rupees, A2 wants to deposit 2000 rupees, and then you can observe that in the try and catch blocks here. See why we have used this try block? Because we are calling this withdraw. See, whenever there is a withdraw method call, it should be placed within try block and a proper catch block has to be written, because withdraw method said that it throws a less balance exception if the balance is becoming less than 500. So the caller has to take care of that. So how the caller is taking care of that situation? By placing that statement within the try block. So you can observe that A1 dot withdraw is placed within the try block. I am placing this within system.out.println because in this example withdraw method is returning a double type of value. If it is not returning anything, say void withdraw, if that is the definition, then you can skip this. You can just remove the system.out.println. You can just write A1 dot withdraw whatever is the amount, and then you can call A1 dot display method to display the current balance. But as per this program, it returns a double value, and so I am using a system.out.println. And important point to note here is this method call has to be placed in the try block, and in the catch block we are catching less balance exception. Right? Suitable exception should be caught. Here you cannot write division by zero error. So is that applicable here? Is it available? This is as per the requirement. We want an exception to be thrown whenever there is insufficient balance or whenever it goes less than 500, right? So here we have written the catch block for handling this less balance exception. So now let's run this code. Yes, you can see that it is showing can't withdraw insufficient. So from where this can't withdraw come? It has come from this. See, can't withdraw. And from where this insufficient has come? So there is no space. Actually we should write it properly. See, this insufficient is a parameter that is passed to the constructor of less balance. It has gone to this str and it is printing can't withdraw and the message that is str. So I will just leave a space here so that if you run it should show it properly. Let's run this again. Yes, now you can see that it shows can't withdraw insufficient. You can write a balance. And why we are getting this termwork dot less balance exception? Because of this E. What type of exception is this? This is less balance exception. What is this termwork? This is the package in which I have